We have with us Mr. Kiran Nagarkar, who has just released his latest book, The Extras. When it comes to this recent onslaught of culture, right from pulping of Doniger's Hindu and to the rapid saffronization of cultural and educational institutions, the FTII being the latest instance, what would be your reaction to these present times?
My reaction is that I am not merely saddened. It's much worse than that. I am at times incensed. You know, you can have Make in India, you can have anything that you want, but if the fundamentals of education are not there, what in God's name, what kind of chance do we have? Censorship of any kind, I have always fought against. You have read my play, but in the good old days, but now, what are we being told? And this is supposed to be not only expressed by Sri Batra and his followers, but it is something that the Prime Minister himself has talked about. And what I'm referring to, I'm sure you're aware of it, but I'll merely mention this, that you know, transplantation, for instance, was something which we had a long time ago. We're talking about 2000 years or whatever. After all, we are talking, I don't even know whether it's 2000 or 6000 or whatever number of years, because we are talking about Ganesh, Lord Ganesh. I am a great respecter of mythology, okay? I use it again and again. Yeah, it is always there. I mean, Sri Krishna is there, you know, and I find them extraordinarily interesting figures. But mythology and its richness cannot be confused with science. What is wrong with
or one reading of mythology, just
Yes.
one reading which the state qualifies.
You're right.
You wrote just in December 2014, which says, no book, play or work of art can trigger changes overnight. Bedtime stories certainly can't, but it can, I hope, force people to wake up and think. In this regard, now you are an author who has faced censorship, and A Bedtime Story, you have said, was in some ways a reaction to the emergency.
Yes.
And
it
was so in terms of your experience of dealing with censorship, and you use a very good line here, you say that it went into legal battles for a few years, but it went into extra legal battles for many more years. So that in fact took longer for the play to be staged. So what can, as writers now, what did you think you could learn, and how can writers face censorship or speak up against censorship?
The first thing that we have to do is what you are doing just now, okay? We have to start talking about it, you know. We know that the media, by and large, is entirely controlled by business people, okay? The notion of expressing opinions is very lovely. We know that it does not operate in this country most of the time. You're against the notion of censorship. Hey man, they don't want you around, okay? If all of us got together, you know, the number of voices matters, and we raise our voices and take a stand. You and NewsClick and other organizations stand for something very valuable. I mean, even Greenpeace in this country, which is so badly threatened along with so many other NGOs, what are they asking for? They are merely asking that we look at the sources of energy that we are going to utilize. What is preventing us? There is an incredible number of jobs there, employment opportunities.
We have been talking at length about the question of science in this country and how that has in some ways been saffronized. How much do you think that students today have actually been brought up to think in a critical way?
Very, very sad to say that the majority of them don't want to even notice that all these things affect their not only their current education but their future and the future of the country. You know, I also go and I'm invited occasionally by educational institutions, and I have talked to especially where there are very rich students, and they will tell me, and from Gujarat of course, they will tell me no, this is the government that is going to save this country, there's not going to be any corruption, etc., etc. Now, for a minute, let's say that okay, there is less corruption. I do not think that is the case. I mean, Vyapam, for God's sake, is one of the scariest things that's happening in this country, okay? But the point is, don't you want to fight for the right to speak openly? I don't understand this. FTIR students can do it. Jadavpur can do it. Why can't the others? And stand up for merely the quintessential business of education, which is to open the mind. I don't know, I do not know about the universities here. I think in that sense, JNU and DU still have a tradition from the past of openness. Yes, I'm not denying that there is a lot of pressure. But have you seen the standards of education in other parts of the country? Mumbai University is the pits. It was amongst the first 3 or 4. I don't know whether, in that sense we are still at the top, but from the bottom. Okay? Now, what is going on? And if you want to apply to an IIT, if you want to apply to a medical institution like Harvard University, or hopefully our own universities, you want to apply to a medical school, and you're going to tell them that, we used to fly planes straight forward, back and sideways. Come on, man. This is a country which needs education badly. I'm told time and again that Jawaharlal Nehru ji did not invest enough in basic education at the bottom. Well, rectify it. But he invested a hell of a lot in IITs, in TIFR, Tata Institute of Fundamental Research. Why don't we, let's build on it. And what in God's name are historical societies doing with people who are appointed to say that history is one particular version?
The supposed authenticity of writing in Marathi, that you are authentic when you wrote your first novel in Marathi. Now, that is one part. Now, what these people will say that the moment you switch to English, it somehow became somewhat less authentic. I'm reluctant to say inauthentic, but less authentic. Now, do we not see a similar argument by the current regime, which says that you can have one reading of text which is central to our culture, and basically all the kinds of readings they oppose, influence of Western culture, etc., is actually non-Brahminical reading. So anything which will look at a particular text through the caste lens, through the class lens, will be summarily rejected because it's not authentic. And what they mean by that is that it's not Brahminical. There is a similarity of argument when it comes to the authenticity of supposed writers who write in languages other than English, and this kind of authenticity. Do we have to think beyond this idea of what can be an authentic reading and look at several readings as long as they are very good?
You're absolutely right. How can we not? Ramanujan, who wrote one of those terrific essays, man, how can we deny that there are hundreds of Ramayanas in terms of interpretation? They were not imposed, they came from the earth itself. People who live in particular areas change their way of, not change, They see things in a particular way. What are you going to do? Deny it? What for? The richness of a country is absolutely centered in a variety of opinions. You know, this is what democracy is about, isn't it? That we fight for the rights of others to disagree with us. Voltaire said it, Gandhiji said it. Come on, Gandhiji and Ambedkar disagreed. And so many other people disagreed. You know, Ramchandra Guha did say something very sensible. Educational appointments, institutional appointments, educational institutions, come on man, we can't tamper with these, okay? If we don't have standards, we are doomed. You can talk about as much as you want about Make in India, but you're making sure that the very foundations are attacked. How can you have a country blossoming if you do not ensure that there is integrity of thought? You know, I'm not saying anything new, I'm well aware of it. I don't want to be original, okay? I want to merely state that give us a chance. And by us, I mean not just the rich. They'll go abroad, okay? I mean us as in poor, in the poor of this country, and the middle class also. Let everybody get a chance. There is that wonderful line which I keep repeating, Har koi chahta hai ek muthi asman. Nothing better to express the great aspirations that we have, you know. It's not about, it's the sky, it's openness. It's not about money. Okay? I can't think of anything which is more glorious than to aspire to this openness. It's an infinity of sky.
Would you tell us something about your latest book? We had just had a book release 2 days back.
Yeah.
When did you think of the sequel, and what was the process of writing it?
You know, I'm prehistoric, okay? So we're talking about 1977, 78, when someone came and said, why don't you write a screenplay for me? Within 2 meetings, he had lost interest. I had begun to write the screenplay for Ravan and Eddie. At that time, I was deeply upset, etc., etc. Now I can't thank the man enough for losing interest. After all, if you don't have a sense of humor, then my work is not the right work for you, okay? I will use melodrama also, and then suddenly remove the foundations from under it so that you fall flat on. Kiran Nagarkar certainly falls flat on his face all the time, okay? No problem with that. But I was so lucky that I had the good sense to write the full screenplay first. And when I wrote the screenplay, I have to tell you that the childhood was just before the titles came on. The fall of Ravan came on there, okay? And the rest of it was adult, about both the kids as adults. So the basic plot line was there, okay? From 78.
Okay. Mr. Nagarkar, thank you so much for talking to us, and we hope to find another book very soon.